Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we are doing 1990s The Exorcist III. For two horror movie fans, I will say I was more than slightly disappointed in this one.
Yes.
So
this was very, very bad.
Before we get started, if you want to reach out to Corey or I on Twitter, you can reach out to me at Junior D's. You can reach out to Corey at Idle Poncho. And let's get this one off and rolling. So The Exorcist...
Get this one over with is the proper way to phrase that.
So my bad. So The Exorcist III stars George C. Scott as Kinderman, Ed Flanders as Father Dyer, Brad Dourif as the Gemini killer, and Jason Miller as Patient X. I don't know why it says Patient X. Well, I guess when the movie came out, they wanted, there was a secret that Father Karras was back in the movie. So he's Patient X. Great big reveal. Holy shit. So
silly. And you didn't even have the Demi. Why you do this to me, Demi?
Demi, why you do this to me?
You're not my mother!
The only thing about this that made this an Exorcist movie was George C. Scott and the piano music, the keyboard music. That was it.
Yeah, him being the cop. And this is what I didn't get. He was, friends with Karras, right?
Yes.
I watched The Exorcist before I watched this. Just to make sure I could tie... Oh, yeah, it really was. Just to make sure I could draw my appropriate parallels. Because he's supposed to be the cop from the first movie. Yeah. Them and Karras weren't friends. They meet in the movie, and they both, trade jabs and are like, all right. And then that's it.
Yeah.
The next scene, you see the cop, and he's like, oh, shit, homie jumped out a window.
Yeah. But this movie opens up. It's supposed to be 15 years after the Karras murder and Reagan getting possessed. And it opens up in Georgetown in 1990. First problem with this whole movie is that it's set, I didn't make it up just because it came out in 1990 and assumed, it says Georgetown, 1990.
Yes, it does.
The feeling and the look and feel I got from this movie was that it was 1972. This felt like a prequel to The Exorcist.
Yeah, this hospital, just to jump forward a little bit to date it a little bit better, this hospital would not be running right now. That would be like the national scandal. You didn't have that situation set up. Nurses didn't dress like that anymore.
Nurses didn't dress like that. Nuns, they had the flying nun shit going on. It was 1990. I went to Catholic school. Nuns didn't dress like that at that point. So, cool.
One of the cops wearing 70s blue blockers in his members only jacket in the hospital.
The opening, you get they love fucking crew. Whoever directed and wrote this movie, they were on the crew team in college. So,
that was William Peter Blatty. This is a PSA, I think. I'm sorry. Any future screenwriters, novelists who might be turning your book into a movie, stay in your lane, bro.
Yeah.
You're a writer. Stay writing. Don't direct. Because you know why? Your novels don't translate. Ask Stephen King, homie. He has too much input. It goes...
Well, in this movie, and this is why, the whole beginning of this movie is just nonsense. It gets to the point where the church doors blow open and Satan makes a mess in the church. There's a shot of the cartoonish Jesus statue oh, Dios mío! And it basically looks like the statue of Jesus from Dogma. That's how...
Buddy Christ?
Buddy Christ. So, but that's how cartoonish and silly it looked.
Yes,
so immediately,
it looked ridiculous.
Right off the jump, I'm like, bro, is this what we're in for? So it cuts to Father Dyer and an altar boy in the back, and they're having a chat. And just the altar boy's glasses scream 70s. Like are they shades or are they like reading glasses?
Oh, I thought you meant the jizz on them. But yes, the overall look of them, yes, scream 70s.
But it's so funny because they're having a conversation and the altar boy says something about, oh, in your mass today, you said something about Father Karras, and he was like, yeah. That was 15 years ago today. And he was like, oh, well, did you know Father? Yeah. I knew Father Karras. Oh, well, I heard that. Get the fuck out of here. Like he even says,
and get lost, will you?
Hey, kid, read the fucking room. Okay. He obviously doesn't want to talk about it. Okay.
All right. I am light.
Kinderman and Dyer, apparently every year on the anniversary of Karras' death, because Kinderman was friends with him for 5 minutes, they go to see It's a Wonderful Life at the theater. I'll give that a pass. Cool. You want to, rub each other's backs and tell everybody everything's going to be okay. Like, cool. I'm all right with that. But then after the movie...
Here's a hint. In 1990, turn on the Superstation and you can watch It's a Wonderful Life pretty much any time during a 12-hour period.
Exactly.
Not that hard. And this shot in the movie scene cracked me up. There were two of them. One, he walks through and is like, police matter. Doesn't buy a ticket. Then there was the second shot where they show the passage of time because it's a quick shot and like, police matter. We see they're going into It's a Wonderful Life, and he's like, I need popcorn. Very next scene, flash cut, same popcorn machine, empty. Everybody walks out of the theater. You could just have them leave the theater. We don't need you to throw it in our fucking faces that time passed.
So
we get it.
They get out of the theater, and this is another scene that could have just... I'm surprised it didn't hit the cutting room floor. Kinderman starts talking to Dyer about, basically he doesn't want to go back home because there's a carp swimming in his bathtub because his mother-in-law, their carps are dirty and she's washing and letting it live and swim in the bathtub, and I haven't taken a bath in 3 days. We're so close.
You're standing very close to me, Father. Have you noticed? Yes. I haven't had a bath for 3 days.
He starts this off like he's fucking King Lear. Like, my mother-in-law, she's got a carp. I got nothing against carp. It's fine fish. Tasty fish, in fact. And, you gotta let it swim around in order to clean the impurities out of it. Fine fish, I tell you, it's a fine fish. Shut the fuck up! It's carp! It's not that interesting ever.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
But then he goes, I haven't taken a bath in 3 days. What grown man takes a bath?
Over a fish. Just because your mother-in-law, who, by the way, is Phil Spector in drag, she can go find another fish to cook for the family instead of making everyone not bathe for 3 days. That's disgusting.
So that whole thing was weird. Ugh. Then they go to dinner, and while having dinner, Kinderman talks about the murder that he's investigating where a kid's head was cut off, replaced with a Jesus statue head, painted in blackface. They just kind of threw that one in there. I was like, okay, cool. At this point, FYI, there's already 2 Jewish jokes, an Italian joke, blackface joke, even though it's not a joke, but I think they just threw it in there for feel, just to even things out. And then after this, Kinderman goes into this whole like, what's this world coming to? Conversations that we have all the time in 2020. And he was like, you got...
We have cancer and mongoloid babies and murderers.
Mongoloid babies? It's 1990. I'm not saying shit was PC, but the fact that you brought out...
You didn't say that.
Like, nobody said that in 1990. Just FYI. That's why the look, the feel, and the script screamed 1970s.
And the cars screamed 1970s.
Yeah, they did.
The police cars they jumped into didn't look like cars in the 90s.
Let me just tell you something. The car company, I know it's not a thing anymore, but the car company Saturn was in business in 1990. Everybody had a 1982 Regal in this fucking movie. Yep. From the end of this dinner, because they go into the confessional. This is where shit starts actually getting good in this movie. It's the priest in the confessional, and you get the creepy old lady that's confessing to all these murders, and then it's like, you don't see anything. It's like quick cut. It just flashes, religious symbolism and Jesus's face and Mary's face and a random angel. And then you see blood on the floor and some lady screaming. I came to see The Exorcist. What kind of shit did I come to see? Like, I don't know how much movies were in 1990, but they better have charged 1973 prices for this piece of shit movie, because I wouldn't have paid $3 to watch this, and I would have been pissed if I paid more than $3 in the theater. Between
this and the dream sequences that were just laced with cameos of Larry King. Patrick Ewing is listed in this movie as the Angel of Death.
Patrick Ewing has 0 speaking lines, and the camera focuses on him for a good, uncomfortable 30 seconds as he stares at the camera, and as he's staring at me on my couch, I'm going, is that fucking Patrick Ewing? And did I just see Larry King? Did I see Fabio as an angel?
And again, an uncomfortably long just...
Well, and at least they just pan past Fabio. It's slow, but at least he just gets a pan. When they hit, because it's Father Dyer and Patrick Ewing, because apparently he was a huge Knicks fan, and it's on them for an uncomfortable amount of time.
Knicks fan, because Patrick Ewing is listed as the Angel of Death.
Exactly. But quick tie-in, this takes place in Georgetown. Patrick Ewing played for Georgetown. So before the dream sequence, Father Dyer's in the hospital. This movie is just loaded with like weird, uncomfortable, nonsensical scenes. Kinderman goes to the hospital to visit Father Dyer, who's having some sort of procedure that involves coughing. Okay. And they have this whole back and forth about if it's serious, and that's nonsense. And then Father Dyer lights a cigarette in the hospital. It was 1990. Smoking was already banned in hospitals, FYI. Yeah. The whole scene is just weird. There's random nurses coming in, stopping by the room, randomly yelling in the hallway.
Oh, stop this guy!
Nice and peaceful here, isn't it?
To where Kinderman, out of nowhere, the one nurse comes in like, hey, the actual nurse that's supposed to be there comes in and goes, hey, can I help you guys with anything?
We're fine!
Whoa, buddy! Hey! Fucking chill out. You had one too many cups of coffee, all right?
Oh, my God.
I don't know what your deal is, but you need to settle the fuck down, okay?
Oh, my God. Little do people know that Kinderman is actually the illegitimate father to David from Fear.
So let me the fucking house!
Kinderman thinks the boy and the priest that were murdered at the beginning of this movie were murdered by the same guy and has the same MO as the Gemini killer, which he reveals later in the movie. They realize that it's 2 different sets of fingerprints at both murder scenes, so he's skunked again. And then he has the weird dream sequence with Patrick Ewing. And I'm not going to lie, in 1990, I had a couple of weird dream sequences with Patrick Ewing. So, just
Would you
FYI.
like to talk about that, my son?
I'm just a big Knicks fan. So
no, talk about it slowly. Really slowly.
So he wakes up from this weird dream sequence. The phone's ringing. Father Dyer's dead. And apparently somebody snuck in, I'm just assuming this is what happened because they didn't show it to us again. Somebody sneaks in, drains all of his blood. Sounds like a cool murder, but I didn't get to see it.
Yeah, it would have been rad.
And then for like the 3rd time in this movie, all we get to see of the murder is Kinderman looking under another sheet. Fucking sweet. And I can only imagine that Father Dyer's body's in bad shape just by judging the look on Kinderman's face. Listen, I like when horror movies leave it to your imagination sometimes. Not this much. Come on. Like, what are we doing here? This is a horror movie. Like, this is like Gone with the Wind with some blood. Like, fuck.
Exactly. If you're going to completely just, like, remove the entire plot of The Exorcist, except for character names. Yes, horror. You got to throw in the gore.
Yes,
you got to come
absolutely.
back. Like, Rob Zombie did that with Halloween.
Yep.
He added more gore, so it was something different.
Yes. And it's okay. It doesn't have to be over the top. But you gotta give the audience something. Like, this isn't fucking Nosferatu. Like, just come on, dude. Give me something. It was 1990.
Yes. You can't show up those garden shears and not let us test those bad boys out. You gotta let me see those things go to work. Yeah,
let me take a test drive, bruh. Like, come on.
Yeah.
7 comes out in a few years. And this is what you're giving me? Yeah. Okay, cool. So
that's like having Leatherface fire up the chainsaw and never use it.
Exactly. He just chases. It doesn't even have the it doesn't even have the chain on it. He's just like So Kinderman, he sees everything in the hospital room. He sees all the blood in the little cups. It's a Wonderful Life is painted in blood on the wall. And then he starts interviewing people. This is my favorite part. Okay, my favorite part of The Exorcist III is Kinderman, period. I love his character because he reminds me of my father. Like, if my father were a cop, he would be Kinderman. Totally calm and then losing his shit. Because he interviews the nurse, right? It was basically during this... He was like, well, did you see her? Was she in the hallway? And she's like, not exactly. And
not exactly.
His character name should have been No Semantics. Just give me the fucking facts, bitch. He was done. And by the way, if this movie was actually real life, that interview would have been conducted, and then they would have went, okay, the nurse did it. Let's take her. Because that chick is the most evil person I have ever seen in my life.
There wouldn't have even been an interview. He would have just shot her in the middle of the hallway like, yeah, it was totally her. What the fuck? So, the doctor, and this goes through the whole, like, is this the 70s? The doctor and Kinderman go down some random hallway and into a secure elevator to visit the disturbed people.
What's this?
It's the Disturbed Ward.
The medical community had updated its terms, and mentally ill people were not called disturbed people, okay?
They also treated how they cared for those folks, and it wasn't just like, here's a bunch of fucking medicine, roam around.
Well, it wasn't. It was literally like a 1940s sanitarium.
Yeah.
Here's some pills, and then go, carve your nails into the wall for an hour.
Oh yeah, I was expecting like Jessica Lange in a nun's outfit to show up.
After this, Kinderman sees Father Karras very briefly in one of the cells. And Kinderman reveals in the office, the doctor's office, that the Gemini killer, even though everybody's like, oh, he's dead, the cops didn't put all the information out there, and whoever's doing these murders is literally using the same MO. Cool.
And again, you get another Kinderman.
Temple, why are you encouraging this?
Shut your mouth!
And this one was actually warranted, because that guy, the administrator,
whatever, like the lawyer or whatever?
Yeah, just shouting the whole fucking time. You're not gonna.
Well, he's like, I would have done it too, because he's like, why are you bringing so many cops into my hospital? Because there was a fucking murder, and the crazy nurse in the back, I think, did it. Why are there so many cops in the fucking hospital? I'll fucking ought to smack you. Kinderman then goes to the university and visits like the university president, priest thing, whatever. He interviews the university president, and weird shit starts happening in his office. They hear people talking in the other room, doors start opening. So Kinderman gets up to check it out. The priest, not a thing. He doesn't even move. He doesn't even acknowledge that shit's happening. He goes to check it. He goes to check it out. Lights are flickering. Apparently, there's a statue of the Joker with a knife.
I was so weird. Like, what is that doing anywhere near like Catholicism?
The amount of like, I want to know where the decision was made on the set or in pre-production or whatever. Like, you know what we need? Silly fucking statues in this.
Yes.
Let's paint a statue like the Joker with a blade in his hand, and then we have silly Jesus at the beginning. We cool with all that?
So ridiculous.
You could have saved the money on all the statues and just actually show somebody getting killed in this fucking movie. But
yeah, like the art director on this movie, fun fact, was the same lady that painted that Jesus fresco retouch.
Dr. Temple tells Kinderman that the dude in the cell is someone they picked up 15 years ago, wandering the streets, no ID, yada yada. He says he's the Gemini killer. Kinderman believes that it's Karras, which it is. Kinderman goes down to interview him. And in the middle of this interview, he turns into...
the turning back and forth of the face was so confusing. I actually had to look up if the guy died who played Father Karras during filming. And that's why they did that. Because and I'm not even making a joke. Like, I really looked that up because it made no sense. It was so confusing.
There
in
was
an already
no explanation.
Plot.
Yeah, exactly. It was so weird. It was, I mean, again, it was just another weird scene that they threw into this. We get our first jump scare of the movie right after this. I actually jumped because this movie was so boring. I wasn't expecting anything. The nurse goes in to check out the noise, and the guy's like, "The fuck you doing in my room?" Like, everybody's screaming in this movie. Like, it's fucking...
Oh, dude, yeah. Nobody has volume control. And we're skipping over the part where, during the interview, where the Gemini killer / Karras / Pazuzu / every demon in hell, whatever, gives, like, the longest monologue. Like, dude, I was just floating around, and then I saw this guy there, and his brain was kind of gooey, but we put it together, because we are Legion. And then I walked around, but I didn't know who I was. I did a pretty good job. And all my friends helped me, and the master. And then, what the fuck are you doing?
Dude, the fact that Satan got this moron to do anything for him and was like, you know who we should get? You know that Gemini killer guy they just executed? Grab his soul and put it in Father Karras. At the end of this whole explanation, it was just basically like, it's a funny joke because he put the Gemini killer into the priest, and the priest was going to do more Gemini killings. Like
that's honestly where I started to lose interest. And until you got the actual, like you said, the jump scare of, what are you doing in my room?
And you get the first jump scare with the nurse. And then it's like, oh, there really isn't anything there. She goes to check out Father Dyer's room because there's more noises. And as she's walking out, you get the person in the white with the head cutting off shears. And I was like, oh, shit. And then nothing.
Flash cut to Headless Jesus.
The horror movie, like, blue balls of the century. Like,
yes. And dude, and that is, like, legitimately, for me, a top 5 all-time jump scare. Like, the nun coming out of the room behind, like, that, it came out of nowhere. It was perfect. The
it's fantastic.
They put behind it was perfect. And then, again, you waste it to a headless Buddy Christ.
Everything is like, it's like the greatest roller coaster of all time. And you're like, dude, this is going to be sweet. And the drop goes, whoop. It's so anticlimactic. So back to the Gemini killer cell. He explains that the devil or demon possessed it. He goes through all that shit. Kinderman figures out that the Gemini killer is possessing the disturbed old people.
Catatonics are so easy to possess.
This is another cool scene because he goes down to the disturbed people place. And you get the old creepy lady climbing on the ceiling. I was like, oh, why? If the whole movie was just that creepy lady all over the ceiling killing people, it would have been a fucking fantastic movie. But
yes.
Nope, we just get one scene.
How about you have all this, we are Legion, inside one dude, yet all of these disturbed folks are the easiest to possess. How about you just leave this dude to me, you guys go get all of them, and we throw a real party up in this bitch.
You're right. It's fact.
He can obviously possess multiple people.
Yes.
Because in this scene, he possesses old creepy lady on the ceiling, and he possesses the other lady who dresses like a nurse and goes to Kinderman's house. Kinderman calls his house, and obviously he can possess the phone too, because Kinderman gets a busy signal, but his wife talks to Satan, who sounds like Kinderman. Kinderman and a cop get to his house. The nurse is sitting there, half catatonic, and then all of a sudden, the Gemini killer possesses her, pulls the goddamn shears out. Grandma Spectre saves the daughter because she pulls her head out of the
hair.
I mean, that's a cool scene, but like it was the slowest. Like she's like
Yeah, exactly.
All hell breaks loose there. Father Morning then gets to Karras's cell.
Father Morning plays almost no part of this. And then, like, all of a sudden, the elevator doors open. And he's walking through, like, fucking rock and roll David Blaine priest. Christy priest freak. And it's just like, wah, shout out the devil. It's so ridiculous. You played no part in this.
No, it was like one random scene. They say his name earlier. They're like, he's the only priest on earth right now that's ever done an exorcism, and that was in Brazil 100 years ago. And he was 5.
Motherfucker.
He was 5, and it turned his hair white.
They say he performed an exorcism once in the Philippines. The story is his hair turned white overnight.
And then they flash to him just like in his little rectory, and a bird dies, and the wind comes in, and end scene. He's in there for 5 seconds, and then now he's the rock star coming out of the elevator. Yeah. Awesome.
He's doing like the Michael Jackson kick. And, come on!
He just does the lean.
Yeah. What you know, Pazuzu? Dance off, bitch.
So he starts performing the exorcism on Father Karras. This is kind of cool because there's fire, there's snakes. Apparently they spent the whole budget on this part of the movie. There's fire, there's snakes, Morning gets melted to the ceiling. It turned this movie really good, like it turned on a dime. Kinderman then gets to the cell. Kinderman just knows where to be at all times. He sees melty Morning on the floor. Karras is like in and out of Gemini killer, and so he goes to shoot him, but then he gets blasted up against the wall.
And by the way, when you walk in, you're convinced at this point, like, okay, you're possessed, you're using my friend's body, you are also the Gemini killer who I helped put away and kill. I walk in, bubbly priest skin is laying there on the floor. I'm not doing some slow dramatic, I'm just I'm shooting that whole fucking place up. Everybody in that hospital is dying tonight.
I'm putting Father Morning out of his misery because he looks like a grilled cheese sandwich. So he's dead. I'm killing you because fuck you.
Yeah.
And then I'm just leaving. Like, you know, the hero of this movie. Like I should. It goes through this whole thing where it starts raining and lightning hits the ground, and there's a whole... Why didn't you get the lightning earlier in this movie and have all those dead people come up and kill the people you wanted to kill, and then this would be a much better movie? But
yes. And then the one time God decides, like, oh, I'm going to intercede, he makes the sunbeam move over to the cross.
Yeah.
Like, hey, dude, pick this cross up. I just lit it up for you. You can find it easier. If you can fucking intervene, bro. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, why are you testing my faith? I'm stapled to the ceiling. My homeboy's face looks like a fucking Dr. Pimple Popper special.
I heard that, you nasty.
But yeah, God's lazy as fuck in this movie. Like, he could have intervened a million times, and he just didn't. So,
like, I'm gonna push the sun right there.
Yeah, there you go. You got it? You got it? Cool.
Yeah, it was. Hey guys, did you see what I did? It was 10 till 2. Now it's 5 till 2. Huh? This fucking guy. This guy.
He shoots Karis because Karis fights the demons. End of movie. For you know, this is the end of the fucking movie. Wow. We put way too much time and effort into this movie already. Yeah. I'm gonna ask, Corey, does it stand the test of time?
No. This was very disappointing, especially first off, you never could have compared to the original.
No.
It was never going to happen. So fine, you know that going in. You can try and do something a little different. However, two things happened. One, Friedkin was originally supposed to direct this movie, and then he bounced. He's like, no, I'm good. And so Blatty came on and was like, I'll do it. And Morgan Creek, who was the production company behind this, ended up buying it, even with Blatty directing, and going, cool, we'll do this movie still. However, we have the final say on what stays in and what gets cut out. So allegedly, there is a director's cut of Blatty's original film that is supposed to be very different and very good. However, I am sick and fucking tired of every time a movie sucks, somebody going, well, the director's cut's going to be amazing. No. Fuck you. Fuck that. I'm over that noise.
I'm right there with you. Here's the thing.
I'm so over that.
You're a huge horror movie fan. I'm a huge horror movie fan. Even with horror movies, like Hellraiser's a perfect example. Hellraiser, the original Hellraiser, didn't age well, but I still enjoy it. And you could point out and you can make fun of like different scenes and things during the movie, and there's a lot to make fun of, but it's still like, when I watch it, I'm still like, I love it. There was nothing I loved about this. Outside of literally the last 5 minutes of this movie, where I was like, oh, cool. Apparently they spent, the $17 that they had in budget on the last 5 minutes, because the rest of it was shot at the Walmart up the fucking road. Like, it was just random, thrown together scenes.
Yeah.
And it was super confusing. A lot of the shit didn't make sense. The plot was way too convoluted. And they just, for shits and giggles, they were like, oh, let's not show any murders. Let's not show any like awesome effects until the last 5 minutes. Oh, and you know those Jesus statues we got for this movie? Let's cut one of their heads off, put one like a cartoon, and put the Joker in the corner.
Yeah.
Dude, like every decision that they made at every turning point in this movie was wrong.
You're right. It's fact.
And I read, and I could be wrong about this, so if I am, please feel free to comment and tell me.
I'm sure they will.
I know you love to do that already. But the way I understood it was the Zodiac Killer was a fan of the original Exorcist movie. So Blatty, just to jerk off the Zodiac Killer, wrote the Gemini Killer into this movie.
We're fine.
I didn't love this movie, but do you have anything else for this movie at all?
No, I'm happy to get away from this, and with us rolling into fall, you guys can expect a lot more horror movies coming up.
Yeah, this is kind of like going to the supermarket and starting to see like the fall leaves decorations and stuff. You're like, dude, it's fucking August. It's the first week of September. What the hell? So this is our like journey into the fall, into Halloween and stuff. So yeah, we're going to do a lot more. First, I want to thank a lot of the new subscribers that came in and subscribed.
Yes.
That's awesome. And second, if you want us to do any movies, we've proven we'll literally do anything you guys request. So we did Dennis the Menace.
We have no shame at this point.
No, absolutely not. We'll watch bad movies. It's okay. So if you want us to do any movie, comment below. We're good to go. But if you don't have anything, I certainly don't. For Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1990's The Exorcist III.